So I'm back with another Winhance Devlog, and this is going to be Winhance Devlog number 7. And you can already see the stuff that we're going to be working on the screen up there. So I'm not going to be going through all of that, but I'm just going to jump right into the video. And I'm going to start with something that I fixed off of the recording, which is the bug where OneDrive was still showing as installed after removing it. So if you've been following these devlogs, we've had these issues where there were false installation status reporting in Winhance where apps were showing as installed, although they were not. And that was primarily in the external apps section that we've been working on. But specifically OneDrive and Microsoft Edge is part of the Windows apps, and they follow a different path in the code to actually check the installation status. So I haven't fixed the Edge one yet, but the OneDrive one is fixed. And initially I thought that the false installation status indicators had the same root cause, that it was caused by the same bug in the code. But that's actually not true, and I found that out with the OneDrive issue here. So I'm just going to go through the code changes that I made to fix the OneDrive issue, because it was actually an issue with the OneDrive removal script. There were 3 things that I added or enhanced in the script. The first one being to add the OneDrive AppX package as well. So you can see in step 1 here, it now also removes the OneDrive Sync AppX package. And then also in step 1, previously when it looked for the uninstall strings for OneDrive, it only checked the user's registry hive and not the local machine. So I added the HKey local machine entry as well, because this is actually where the issue came in. OneDrive can be installed per user, or it can be installed machine-wide. So it's now doing checks to get the uninstall string from both the HKey local machine registry hive as well as the HKey current user registry hive. And then as an additional enhancement, when it came to cleaning up the OneDrive installation directories, that's also been enhanced so that it now completely clears any trace of the OneDrive installation files on the computer after it's been removed or uninstalled. So just as a quick example here, you can see that I just did an install of Microsoft OneDrive with WinGet, and it installed it. And then when I did a WinGet list to see all of the OneDrive instances that are installed, there's only one that show up here, and it's Microsoft OneDrive with the package ID of Microsoft.OneDrive. So in the previous versions of Winhance, this was correctly removed. There's only one that shows up, and this is the way that OneDrive is installed when you install it via WinGet. And you'll see in Winhance, it correctly detects it as installed now. So I can select it, then remove it, then Winhance correctly reports it as uninstalled. And if I do the same WinGet list command, you'll now see that it didn't find anything because Microsoft OneDrive is now completely uninstalled. But that was working before. Where the issue came in is if OneDrive was installed via the installer that's downloaded from the OneDrive website. And I've got that installer right here. So if I run that and install it via the OneDrive installer, the Microsoft OneDrive setup, and OneDrive is then installed via the installer file. If I then do WinGet list and select the string of OneDrive, you can see there are now 2 that show up here. So we've got the same one that we had before, Microsoft.OneDrive, which has always been uninstalled via Winhance. But there's also this thing that shows up, which is just called OneDrive, and that's actually an MSIX package, which is called Microsoft.OneDrive Sync. So this is also called an AppX package. So that's what I added to the removal as well, and so that it also uninstalls it machine-wide. So you'll see if I do a refresh on the status installation, it will now detect OneDrive as installed once again, because it is actually installed. There we go, OneDrive is installed. But now if I select it and I remove it and we go through with this removal, it'll now correctly remove both instances of the OneDrive package. It also has to restart the Explorer process so that it can release any files that are in use and can proceed with the uninstallation. But now you'll see OneDrive here correctly detects as not installed. And if we do the same command in WinGet, where we search for OneDrive, it is now completely uninstalled. So that fixes the OneDrive issue. And on the issue page here, the creator of it actually helped me to discover this OneDrive Sync package. I asked them to run this command in PowerShell, which will then remove the AppX package. And they came back saying that it was successful and that OneDrive is not showing up as installed anymore and that it's now working. So that fixes the OneDrive issue. Now I still have an issue with Microsoft Edge showing up as installed, although it's not installed. And then there was also a report of the Opera browser showing as installed when it's not installed. So I will be working on that, but I'm not going to be doing that on a recording. We've done enough of that in the previous devlogs. I'm going to focus on some other things in this recording. Now, the first one is a suggestion to have the toggles to the left instead of to the right. So what this user is requesting is to have these toggles and the combo boxes to the left of the card here instead of to the right, because on very large displays like a 4K monitor, for example, it becomes hard to tell which toggle you're toggling on or off because the space between the text and then the toggle becomes too long. So users are reporting that they're accidentally changing settings that they don't actually want to change. So I replied to this issue, and to me, I don't think putting the toggles on the left is going to look right. I just don't like that idea. But they also came up with another idea saying that there's no row highlighting on hover. So basically what they're saying is if you hover over one of these settings cards here, it doesn't expand it or highlight it to show you that that's the setting that you're going to change. If I hover over one of these controls, you can see that the size of it does change slightly, but that still doesn't tell you on which card you're actually on. So what I'm thinking of is to add some sort of animation or just some sort of visual indicator when the mouse is hovered over the specific card so that the user can see which card they're actually working on. So I'm going to start a new Claude Code instance here, and then I'm going to give it this prompt: get the content on this page, and then I'm going to pass the URL. Then I'm going to say that I don't want to move the toggles to the left, but I want to add some sort of animation or row highlighting on hover on the settings cards themselves so that users can visually see which setting they are about to toggle. Then I'll also tell it that the file you will need to look at is at container styles, because that's the file that contains those styles for the settings cards. Give me a few ideas and your recommendation. And then I'll just pass the analysis prompt and then send that off. So this is issue 319. So I'm just going to rename the instance again to 319 setting card hover. Next, there's a suggestion to add better handling for portable apps installed via WinGet and installation status indication. So what's going on with this issue is that the user reported installing Snappy Driver, installing Origin, and that it does complete, but then afterwards they can't find it in the Windows Start menu at all, and also Winhance doesn't report it as installed. Now, the thing is, this specific package, and there are other packages that it happens with too, it's a portable package, which is a zip file that gets extracted to the computer, but it gets buried inside of the WinGet files in your app data folder. So what I was thinking of adding is, when it's a zip package, that it can be extracted to something like program files where software is usually installed. And then for the status detection of Winhance, we might need to add some sort of file path which it can check to see if it's actually installed or not. So I'm going to pass this issue to Claude as well. Once again, prompted telling it to get the content of this page and then paste the page. Then I'm going to ask it, what options do I have of handling these zip files or portable packages in Winhance? I was thinking of extracting the package to program files and then also enhancing the installation status detection for the external apps to include checking for those file paths. Do you have any other ideas that are better? So we'll send that off and then check what it comes back with. So this is issue 321. So I just want to rename this terminal to 321, and this is zip package handling. And then lastly, we got a feature to add UltraViewer to the list of remote access applications. So this user provided the WinGet ID here, but I just want to double check it myself. So I'm just going to open a terminal here, and then we'll just say WinGet search UltraViewer, and it looks like the ID is correct. So we'll get that. Then I can open the external app definitions, but I need the remote access file. Let's just open it a bit more. And I'm just going to add it to the file here below the TeamViewer entry. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it, and then I'll just change the ID to UltraViewer. The name is going to be UltraViewer. Then we can get the UltraViewer webpage link, so we can also add it there. Then I haven't changed the package ID yet. I see UltraViewer has the V capitalized. So for the description, we can use this and just simplify it a bit. So we can just say that it helps you control your partner's computer to support them as if you were sitting in front of their screen. So it is remote access. We still need to fix the WinGet package. Copy that and then paste it. So we've got the correct ID there, the name's correct, description, group name, WinGet package URL, and the website URL. So that's going to be it. If we now do a build of the application, and we go to the external software under the remote access tools, there we've got UltraViewer, and we can also visit the UltraViewer webpage. So that's done. So let me push those changes, and that's just add UltraViewer to external apps. And then we'll do another message that says closes, and then that issue number was 317, and then push that up to the dev branch. Okay, so that's done. And I'll just reply saying thanks, it has been done in the dev branch in this commit, and it will be available in the next release. So we'll just comment that and mark that as completed now. So let's go back to our Claude Code instances here, and let's have a look at the setting card hover. So it gives us the structure analysis. And then we've got hover enhancement options. So we've got a simple background color change, which is the most straightforward approach to change the background color on hover. So it wants to add a solid color brush with a settings item hover background. Then it wants to add that color key, which has this for dark theme, or for a light theme, it uses that color right there. So let's actually copy these colors and test them. So for dark mode, it wants to change it to this color here from this color. So it's going to make it a little bit darker. And for light mode, it's going to change it from that white to this color. So it's going to blend more in with that. Okay, so let's look at some of the other options. I don't know if that's the best approach forward, and one of the cons is it's subtle. It might not pop enough for some users, and that's actually what I think the issue is as well. I don't know if that's going to be the best approach. So option 2 is a subtle scale with smooth animation. It's going to slightly enlarge the card on hover, and this is actually what I thought of as well, to add this property so it enlarges the card that's hovered over. It's going to be modern and polished, but it can cause slight layout shifts, and it's more complex to debug. Then there's a border highlight. Add a colored border on hover. Okay, so we can add a border as well with the accent color. So what this is going to do is it's just going to add a border around it with a different color. But that could actually work if we use the accent color for both themes, which is blue in the white theme and then the yellow in the dark theme. That could work. Then there's also an option 4. Combined background plus shadow enhancement. Combine the background color change with enhanced shadow. I don't know if that's going to be what I want to do. So I think we've got the 4 options now. We can test them if one of them doesn't work. The border highlight can also work, because if the entire border is highlighted and you're on a large screen and you're looking at the right here, it's going to be very easy and noticeable to see a border around it, but I don't know if the border is going to look modern. I'm going to reply with implement option 2 so I can test. If it doesn't work, we'll try some of the others and then just pass the prompt for how I wanted to create the files. Then if we go over to the zip package handling, the problem is when WinGet installs portable apps, it extracts it to the temp WinGet folder, and then the zip just sits there unextracted and no shortcut menu is created. So we've got an architecture summary here, which is the definitions and the services that's used. So we've got the direct download service that already has zip handling that extracted to the Winhance apps folder in local data. So we can mark specific apps as portable via custom properties and bypass WinGet for these apps. Use direct download with extraction to a known location and add file-based detection. So then we can use direct download service for those apps. But the thing is, I still want to use WinGet to download the files. What it's suggesting here is to completely rework the way some of these files are defined. And the thing is, this will for sure fix the Snappy Driver Installer origin issue. But I want to get an implementation that if someone requests another package to be added, and that package is also a portable package, a zip file, and I don't know about it, then I just want to be able to add it to the software. And if it's a zip file that's downloaded via WinGet, Winhance should automatically identify that it is a zip package and extract it to the program files so that we can determine whether it's installed or not. That's one way of going about it. The other way is to just accept that portable packages won't be able to be detected as installed and then have some sort of visual indicator inside of Winhance where maybe the installation status indicator just turns to a portable icon and not an ellipsis dot or something. I'm still thinking about that. So I just did some quick research, and it seems that you can do the command WinGet show and then the package ID, which gives you a bunch of information about the app, and then it tells you the installer type. So you can see that the Snappy Driver Installer Origin, it has the installer type as portable, where if I did something like WinGet show Microsoft OneDrive, it reports the installer type as exe. So that could help us, and we could maybe do something like WinGet show, then the ID, and then select the string to check the installer type, if it's portable or zip. I don't know if that's going to be the best. I'm just checking if it works in the CLI here. But I'm going to respond to this chat here, and I'm going to tell it that I'm not happy with reworking it that way and using the direct download service. I see that using a command like WinGet show and then the WinGet package ID reports the installer type. I don't know if it's going to be the best to run something like WinGet show and then the WinGet package ID and then select string zip to determine whether it is a zip file or not. You'll have to tell me how we can parse that properly on all systems with different languages. But it is an option to determine the type of installer that WinGet will download. If it is a zip, we can then add additional handling for it to extract it to a location like program files and notify the user of it. I've also been thinking about the installation status indicators for zip files. Because it isn't really installed, it is portable, it should have a different indicator. We could make it yellow, or we could remove the ellipse indicator from it and give it another icon, like a zip file, for example. What do you think? Analyze this again, think about it, and get back to me the same way as before. So we'll send that off, and then we'll go to the setting card hover. So it's implemented the storyboard here with the animation. So let's build the application and see what it looks like. And we've got a bunch of build errors. Well, only 3. I'm going to copy that and paste it back to the chat so it can fix it. And the thing is, the UI in Winhance is going to change. I have plans of refactoring it completely to Avalonia, but that's going to take quite a while. But I want to get Winhance stable before I do the refactor to Avalonia. And I can see that this is an issue because users are toggling settings that they don't necessarily want to toggle. So we've just built the application. It's going to run now, so we can test this. Let's make it full screen. Go over to the Optimize tab. So I can see that it is changing. The size is changing, but for some reason the text becomes blurry when it's doing this. So I don't like that. And also I don't really think that this is enough of a change to actually see which setting you're on when you're all the way here. I mean, I don't even have a 4K monitor. On a 4K monitor, it's going to be even worse than this. And I just don't think this is the way to go anymore. I'm going to respond with no, that doesn't look like it is going to do the trick. Can you remove the animation you added? And let's test option 1. The background color change. You know what I'm also thinking about is the same way that, for example, we have these accent colors here on the navigation button. Same if I go to software and apps, you can see this tab is selected. So there's that accent, the yellow accent right there. The same with external software, it has this yellow accent. So I'm thinking of, instead of making an entire border around a setting like this, if we can just have it add an accent on the card at the left there, because that way you will for sure see which setting the mouse is currently hovered on, because I just think coloring the entire border is going to be too much. Okay, so it's done with the simple background hover change. Let's build the application again and test that. It really doesn't even look like it's changing at all. I don't even know if this is working. But I think I'm going to give it my instruction of what I just spoke about. So first one, I'm just going to do a git restore on these two files. Git restore dot git status. Okay, so all of the changes that made to these files before are now gone. I'm going to tell it that no, I did a git restore on those files, so they're back to the state they were in when we started this conversation. Here is what I want. If you look at the main window file, the main window XAML file, you will see the navigation buttons as an indicator for when they are selected. In dark mode it is yellow, and in light mode it is blue, which is the accent colors for those themes. Can you add the same indicator line on a settings card when the mouse is hovered over that card? Add it to the left just before the icon and setting and description text. So the indicator will appear on hover, and you can also animate when it appears and disappears so it looks more modern. First, do an analysis of this and get back to me with what you want to do before doing it so I can review it. Okay, so it's done the analysis and it's found the current navigation button pattern. So what it wants to do is add an outer grid wrapper inside the border to hold both the existing content grid and the indicator line. So it's similar to the navigation button structure. Then create the indicator border, same as the nav buttons, add animated trigger, and then the positioning. So on hover, the indicator fades in within opacity, and it also fades out. So I'm going to let it implement this as described so I can test. I'm a little concerned about the fact that it's going to add a grid wrapper inside the border. I don't know if that's going to mess around with the shadows on the back of those cards, but we'll see once it's made these changes. We're going to test it and we're going to see. In the meantime, let's look at issue 321, which is the zip package handling. So WinGet shows us the installer type. We know that already. WinGet already handles portable extraction. When you install a portable app via WinGet, it extracts to user scope and then machine scope. The installer type field is consistent. So if we do it as a machine scope, we can actually just have Winhance check that specific file path because it'll always install it to that directory. So just wait before I do anything else. If I run winget install and then the Snappy Driver installer origin and I do scope machine, I want to see if it actually extracts it to the program files here, because right now I have a WinGet folder inside of the program files, but it just has links. So there we go, it successfully extracted it, and we've got packages, and there we've got the Snappy Driver installer origin. So WinGet packages and then the package ID, but it also adds that Microsoft WinGet source to it as well. And also it says here that we can now launch it with SDIO, so it will just launch like that. Adding scope machine can definitely work for this. Before we install any package, we query WinGet show to detect if a package is portable or zip. After install, if it's portable, optionally move to program files. I don't think we need to do this. We can have WinGet do this by installing it for the machine. For detection, check WinGet's portable packages directory. For UI, add a new portable status indicator. So how do we check the WinGet portable package directory? If I do WinGet list, does the Snappy Driver installer show up here? It does. We've got Snappy Driver installer origin. Just to test this out, I can see that it does not report Snappy Driver installer origin as installed, although the WinGet list output has it in the output, and we're using the WinGet list output to determine whether apps are installed or not. So anyway, let's continue. So it wants to add installer type detection to WinGet service. We have to do that, whether it's a zip file or not. Or to modify the install flow in external app service, then add portable app detection. But I don't know if we really need to add portable app detection if WinGet already reports it. This plan it just gave me here, it doesn't help we're looking at the plan anymore because it's gonna have to change. I want to do is copy these 4 points that it gave in the overview and give it back to it and provide my input. So I'm going to say for point 1, yes, we definitely need to add this, but after install, if portable, optionally move to program files. This I don't agree with. No, what we can do is, if a package is portable or zip, we can use WinGet install and then the WinGet package ID scope machine, and that way it will already be in the program files directory. I tested it and this is what it looks like, and I'm just going to copy the file path of this entire thing, give it to it. Then for point 3, for detection, check WinGet's portable package directory. I think we will have to check file paths if we install it with scope machine, because I ran a WinGet list command and it does show up in the list of installed apps, as you can see here. So I just want to copy and paste that. But although it shows up there, for some reason Winhance is not marking it as installed. And then for the UI, add a new portable status indicator or a yellow ellipse or zip icon. I think the best is going to be to change it to a zip icon, and then when it is installed, it will be a green zip icon, and when it is not installed, it will be a red zip icon. Additionally, we can add a tooltip to the zip icon that, when hovered over, will state that it is a zip package that can be found, see program files, WinGet packages. And we can additionally add the user profile directory to, in case a user has installed it without Winhance in a user scope. What do you think about this? Analyze, again, think it through and get back to me so we can discuss. Okay, issue 319, the setting card hover. It's made the changes that I requested. Okay, let's try building the application again since it's done now. Let's go over to the customize section and I'm hovering over these items, but absolutely nothing is happening. It's not showing a yellow indicator line at all, so it's not working. I'm not seeing any visual changes when I hover over the settings card at all. This also applied to the grouped settings layout, because it actually uses 2 styles, whether a setting is in a group or not. And by a group, I mean a subgroup of settings. So I'm just launching the application to show you what I mean. So for example, these settings are in the context menu subgroup, but these settings have no group, so they should actually be working if it was only applied to the single settings, but it's not working. It says the issue is that element name binding doesn't work reliably in data templates due to namescope issues. So let me restructure this to a simpler approach with triggers on the grid itself. Okay, so while it's doing that, let's go back to the zip package issue. What you've clarified is my approach to use the scope machine flag. It automatically extracts it to that. The detection should work via existing WinGet list, but it doesn't. So the detection bug, this is interesting. You showed that WinGet list does return SDIO, but Winhance isn't marking it as install. Found the bug. Look at your WinGet list output. It's a truncation indicator. The ID is being truncated to that instead of the full ID. But when I use ID with exact, it returns the full untruncated ID. The current parsing code just extracts the first part and tries to match it exactly against that, which fails. So it understands the full picture. It needs to fix the detection bug, request wider output. So it can do that with 2 options, prefix matching or requesting wider output. So it says there's a simpler approach. WinGet respects the disable interactivity flag, but the output width is determined by the console. We can pipe through PowerShell to get the full output. I don't know if I want to do that, or simply handle the truncation in the matching logic. So if it wants to handle the truncation in the matching logic, it means that it's going to handle this part where it just displays a certain amount of characters. So the thing is, since the last devlog, I've seen that we can use the WinGet export command. And the WinGet export command is it writes a list of the installed packages to a file. So I understand that the thing is we're running WinGet list and then we're parsing the output. If we use WinGet export and then output, let's just say C, how does this command work? C WinGet. So it's exported those items to this file called WinGet, but this file can't be opened. Oh, it can. It's a JSON file. Package identifier 7-zip. So the thing is, there is this option of exporting all of the installed packages to a file every time Winhance runs, instead of parsing the output that it gets from the console. Let me just ask Google, when was the export command added in WinGet? In which version? So the export command was added to WinGet in version 0.3, but users needed to manually enable this feature in the WinGet settings. So the command later became a standard, non-experimental feature. The issue with this is it does take a little while to actually export it, but if we change the command a bit so that we do no warn, if we add no warn and we disable interactivity, that was really quick. It was actually really fast. We got the file again and I can open this and there we have all of the package identifiers. And it also gives us the creation date there. So the thing is we could have, instead of running the WinGet list command and parsing the output every single time, we could have it export this file and save it in one of the Winhance directories or even the WinGet directory or in the app data of the user profile in the Winhance folder. But I think, let me just look at the rest of the stuff that it gave here. So we can add installer type detection, and it says that installer type is not localized. It's a technical field. So we could use that to determine the installer type. Then we'll have a bool to tell if it's portable or not. Then we'll modify the installation to use scope machine for portable apps. An external app service will change the flow so it uses machine scope for when it's portable and track portable status in the model. What I'm thinking of is, instead of adding this code to check whether it's a portable app, I might just change the definitions to add the is portable properties. Most of them won't be portable. So it's only going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or however many there currently is in Winhance that'll have to be marked as portable equals true, because it will be portable equals false by default. We can still use scope machine for when it's portable. And then for this part where it wants to track portable status in the model, that might also change when we set another is portable property there. And then we can update the UI with the zip icon. So I have to get back to it with yet another enhancement. First, I'm going to ask it about the installation status detection. Okay, let's step back for a minute and just focus on the installation status detection. I just tested running this command. That exports all of the installed packages to a JSON file, and you can inspect it too at c-winget so you can see the structure. But you will see that it provides the full package name like this, and I think we should scrap the entire WinGet list parsing column output thing and use this instead for installation status detection. My only question is where we should save the JSON file. Winhance program data, Winhance app data, WinGet app data. This might be better, right? Because it's related to WinGet. It's not actually related to Winhance. Winhance just uses the file, but it's actually a WinGet file. Then every time Winhance launches, it will recreate the file if it existed so that we have fresh results of what is installed or not. Also, when installation status is refreshed with the refresh button, it'll have to recreate the file and read it again. Is this viable? Analyze, think, and get back to me again. Okay, back to the setting card hover. Let's build the application and see if it works. Nope, it doesn't work. And it's got the same issue it had before, where it tries to put a target name on a style setter. This is like the third time this has happened now. Let me use event triggers directly on the grid element. not in a style. Let's do a .NET build, and I just see that I've reached 94% of my session limit in Claude, and it only resets in a few hours. So this session is going to come to an end very soon. But let's test the cards. There we go. So now you can see on the left there, when you hover over the control here on the right, you can clearly see which card you have selected. So there's no way of me accidentally setting the search in taskbar setting now, because I have clean taskbar selected. And if we change theme to light theme, those should be blue, and yes, they are. That is exactly what I wanted. So when you hover the mouse over any one of these controls, you can clearly see that it is displaying that subtle icon there, and that you can see which item is selected. So that's going to do it for now with regards to this issue. Because like I said, I'm going to be porting this over to Avalonia, and the UI might change. It might not look exactly like this. I'll still be using these accents and stuff, but the current UI was built from the ground up with WPF, and a lot of this stuff is quite complicated and complex, and I'd like to simplify it a bit more. So I'm going to commit these changes, and I'm going to say feature, add hover indicator line on settings cards for better visibility. And this closes issue 319. Git push origin dev. So that's done now. So I just want to take a screenshot of this and edit it, and then highlight this part here. Copy that, and then we'll go back to the issue. I added a indicator line to the left, the setting card at the icon and description to clearly indicate which setting is being hovered on and will be changed or toggled. And if we preview that, we can see the screenshot, and it shows it right there. I'm just going to comment that, and I see this person did leave another reply. I haven't read it yet, but I will get to that later. With regards to the zip package handling, my limit with Claude has unfortunately been reached now. I'm not on a max plan. I might actually have to get a max plan to continue with this. But I am going to work on this off of the recording further. I will just end off this video by explaining what I want to do with the zip package handling. So first off, I want to get the installation status checking fixed. So we actually use this JSON file with structured output, and we're not parsing WinGet output from the terminal, because I realize how bad that is. And I can see the truncation that happens when the WinGet IDs are too long. And to be honest, maybe these portable packages would have been picked up as installed anyway if that wasn't implemented in the first place. But the issue would still be there for users who are not able to find the portable packages. Coming to think of it, the Snappy Driver Installer Origin is one of them. I actually think the Malwarebytes ADW cleaner is also a zip package or a command line tool that has to be run. So there are a few of these that I need to check out. I'm going to mark them as zip packages or portable packages in the Winhance definitions, so we'll know whether they're portable or not. And then we'll install them to the machine. If they're portable, we'll be able to check the installation status of them properly. And I'm also really considering changing their status icons to a zip file icon, which will then either be green or red, depending on if they're installed or not. And I might even change the ellipses, these red and green icons that we have as status indicators. I might even change that to another type of icon as well, maybe like a PC, and then that icon will be green or red depending on whether it's installed or not. I'm still thinking about that. That might not get implemented, but specifically for the zip portable package issue, we're just going to be installing it to program files, making sure we can detect the installation of it, and then also in the UI show that it's a zip package if that's really needed. That might even not be needed. I'll still think about that. But that is what I'm going to be doing and working on a bunch of other issues. I'll be back next week with another Winhance Devlog. And I just want to say thanks so much for checking out these videos. If you have any suggestions for me, you're welcome to leave them in the comments below. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see all of you guys soon.